we've got the item here, C, acceptance of minutes. Motion to accept the minutes of the December 13th meeting. Would like to amend that. If we could, let's see, we had Kevin on, I believe that.
But I moved it and then I think I moved it.
Yeah.
Is that the way that it's reported?
Okay, so yeah. On the minute from the December 13th, yeah, it was
Yeah.
Ray Shaw. Okay, so if we could amend that and Kevin, you wanna
I will still move it
move it?
and then Phil C.
Phil can-
Second,
Okay.
Second.
because Phil D wasn't here.
Right, so any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Which got the communications reports, the monthly operating report for December.
Yep, and I think, Sarah, can you hear us? I know she's on, I just let her in, but
This is on mute.
yeah,
Hi, sorry. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
okay, welcome, thank you.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't join in person today.
That's okay, if you have any questions, let us know.
Excellent.
Maybe we can introduce ourselves, yes.
No, Sarah, we know, I know Sarah.
Okay, all right.
You know.
Oh, Sarah, Kevin.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah, Russ Arnold.
Hi.
Phil Dunn, we met.
Hi, Phil.
Phil Cordiero. We haven't met.
And
Hi.
we haven't met either, but nice to have you aboard.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you aboard as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so the operating report, December.
Yep, so we averaged 5.4 million gallons, which is pretty high for us.
Excuse me, Sarah, if there's anything that you'd like clarification on or information, just speak up and we can fill you in.
Appreciate that. Will do.
Removal efficiencies for BOD and suspended solids were both above 97%. Total nitrogen removal was 84%. We were actually 38 pounds under permit, but I didn't have the last lab sample until today, so we were well under the permit. Effluent phos was 2.39 and we averaged 22% solids for a cake. The engineering report. Go through this quick. Batterson Park Pump Station. We noted that the Batterson Park Station was on backup flow control. We had to pull the flow and determine the connection was corroded. We ended up cleaning connection and added extra waterproofing material. Yukon Pump Station. While performing weekly pump station rounds, we had to pull pump one. One of the communication wires appeared to get pinched, or it was just not completely severed, but pretty much corroded. We repaired it with Joe Fiakowitz. We have a new pump on order. Once that one arrives, we'll pull this original one out and repair it as a critical spare. This is the original KSB, which is about 20 years old. Harlan and Allstate pump stations. Generators both came in. I just attached some pictures. So we had Summit Crane out of Plainville help. They're both on the pads. We're actually wiring the transfer switches this week and the gas lines are already complete. So those should be in probably in the next 2 weeks or so. South River and Pequabic. Cleaned all the control rooms and the tubes. We're also going to be working on an INC panel there. Oakland Garden Pump Station. We lost power to the down trees in the area. Station. We found the generators running, but the pumps were not. The electrician diagnosed a faulty relay and bypassed it to get the pumps online. We're trying to find out if it was a relay or a generator related issue to the storm. Everything's ran normal since. Pump station upgrades and collection systems. In the month of December, we began to plan INC replacements for corporate Oakland and Yukon. They all have the original INC panels, so we're going through them with NIC, see what the most cost-effective replacements would be. And those are the only ones we have left that are original. Everything else we've already updated. Continue to inspect and clear right-of-ways. In the month of December, we inspected storm lines at Farmington Motorsports after flooding. We're gonna go back out once it recedes, although now it's probably gonna be another 2 weeks. We assisted highway in jetting and using the camera to check storm line on Hatters Lane, and we removed a root ball that was pulled from the pipe and caused flooding. On December 19th, we repaired a manhole at 25 Village View Lane. We just replaced the ring and the cover. At the plant, installed larger mesh filters in the polymer water feed units. This was a chart I had last meeting that showed it's helping with our solids percent. So we've increased it about 15%, which will help on hauling costs because we're sending less out, more volume. Continued working on cleaning and inspecting the UV bulbs. Approximately 1/3 have reached end of their life and we're proactively replacing them. So I just kind of attached the picture, kind of give you an idea what they look like if you haven't seen them before. There's 6 different banks, each has 8 bulbs. And then obviously the flow comes through here and gets disinfected.
So as a clarification, we used to have chlorine system, right?
Correct.
Disinfection and.
Yep.
That was both a hazard to operate and.
And then we had bisulfite to dechlor too, which is worse than the chlorine. So with the UV, we don't have either, which is a huge plus. And then you don't have the chemical cost as well.
Was part of the
Upgrade. We relocated a sanitary line that was located over the polymer storage area. Prevents any slips, trips, and falls, because if any of the water gets in the polymer, it's pretty much like an ice skating rink. Cleaned all the walls and the floor of the effluent flushing water well and received. In the receiving well, we removed large amounts of algae and biological growth. This is pretty much all the flushing water pumps for the plant, the hydrants, the dewatering buildings, the seal water. So over the past 4 or 5 years, we just had some algae in the system, which we cleaned out. On December 28th, operators and maintenance installed a new battery charger on the vac truck. Previous charger was not adequately charging. And we are under the permit by updated now 38 pounds, not 30. Any other questions?
Just go back to those UV bulbs. What's the lifespan of those ones?
So they say 12,000 hours. Typically, in my experience, you're more around 8 to 10,000. Because if you go to fail on them, you're typically mid-season and then you're not getting your E. coli kill. So we like to proactively replace them. Some of the bulbs we have now are about 9,500 hours. So they're there, but we have other banks that don't run as much that are 6,000 hours. Because out of those 6, we only run 2 full-time unless we're doing 15 million like we are now, but we don't have them on because we're off season. So.
Okay, any more questions? None, see as far as the connection report.
Scroll down. New Britain Avenue's connection to an existing home, not part of a previous town project. It was paid with sewer permit fees. Farmington Avenue. Existing lateral repair, same with Birdseye and Finneman Road. Willowbrook Drive, fee collected with the building permit.
Okay. Under new business, we have review budget expenditures and revenue for 2024 and 2025. So, Mark, just clarify as far as the new sheets here, just for the other people that can link with those new sheets.
Yeah, so the difference is the column that, and you should all have the new sheets now. The only column that switched was what you had for 24 to 25 was put under 23 and 24 as what was spent last year. And then we updated what we project for 24 to 25. That was my mistake. I just found the wrong copy.
I guess, why don't you, kind of like summarize or go down where the big changes were?
Yeah, so we labeled some of the ones on the right-hand side, like the chemical companies, Phoenix, HI Stone. But the substantial costs that we have, and I feel like I say this every year, that we have reduced costs here, especially chemicals, overtime, nitrogen credits. But if you look at HI Stone, in the past 3 years, they went from 325,000 to 629,000 just for hauling costs, and that's our sludge going to Hartford to get burned. Electricity also in the past 3 years went from 306,000 to 635,000. That's $330,000. So between the two, you're looking at this year alone, like $250,000. In 2 or 3 years, it's almost 600K. So those costs are a lot of the substantial ones. So,
So I know we've been,
and polymer costs as well, but that's about 30%. We went to different vendors as far as Georgia, and it's just a nature of the economy right now for transportation and manufacturing. A lot of it's gone up. But those on our end, it's basically the cost to run the plant. It's not really operations, it's basically the 3 things we mentioned.
so, as far as any kind of, long-term, kind of, stopgaps here, but as far as our power usage, is there anything we can do there?
So when we did the upgrade, I mean, everything's on PLC and VFDs, so it's about as efficient as we can get. And then we run everything on the efficient horsepower that we can have. I mean, any large pumps we had that were old motors that weren't efficient were upgraded. I don't really think there's much else we could do. I mean, the honest response would be get PLCs and VFDs. We have them all, and all the motors are new and energy efficient, whereas they used to be inefficient. They're all 70-80% now. So I don't see much short of
I mean, one of the ones,
building
Some people-
digesters or something.
yeah, I don't know what the long-term cost would be by using our own generators.
Do you mean like
The generator? There was fuel.
yeah,
Efficiency. The one thing we did, James upgraded everything to LED. We put everything on, like a manual switch. With some motion detectors as well. But part of the whole, our tank system was all, they had lights on 24/7.
these go on 2 hours now,
Right.
and when we come in, that's it. So we tried to even cut there too.
Right, I mean, we cut, compared to what we had before, we cut a lot back. And it's, unfortunately, it's just a function of the cost.
Yeah, but the rate keeps going up to offset that.
Yeah.
Right.
And we did look at,
Exactly.
the one thing we looked at too was you can do like a hydro turbine if you have an outlet that drops. You need at least 4 feet. We have 3.5. So it's like we looked at something like that, but it's not enough to justify what we would get out of it. I mean, you might be able to power a recycle pump, but to do something like the influent pumps or the blowers, you need a ton of power.
So Russ, you wanna take the rest of it of where we're going with this? Your budget?
As far as the percentage.
Or just
overall,
speak to, how this, is gonna come together, what do we need to do here?
So this is for everyone to take a look at and digest a little bit before next month. Next month, it will be on the agenda officially. For you to review. March, we'll set a public hearing to set the new rate coming up. We have, as Mark said, and Mark has done a tremendous job. Putting on a new tank to get more bugs into the system, so we don't reduce our nitrogen. He's done a lot of different things here. So We used to, at one point, we were paying about $120,000 for nitrogen. Over our permit limit every year. So, because in that rate, we were joking about it today, it's typical. When you add some, when you gotta pay the bill, it's full rate, but when you don't have to pay the bill, you get a tenth of the cost. So we're getting about $8,000 of cash back from DEP, when we were paying $100,000. So.
And then the PAC costs too, for the phosphorus.
Chemicals have gone way up.
Yeah.
Again, it's unfortunate, but we're doing everything we can to save and minimize costs of what we're doing. As far as the budget itself, Mark has been talking about, we want to put a new pump station and heading over to NBC. To stay out of NBC as much as we can. Their bill,
165, right?
yeah, they went up to, it basically tripled. Their bill for outside, we're not a full member town, so basically they take. And put a lot of costs on it, on those types of towns, us, Glastonbury. And not only with the water that they serve the town with, but the sewage treatment that they do. And part of that cost is increased, not only in the sewer, treatment that we send to them, but also part of the cost of the increase for the truck. It's not only the hauling, but it's the delivery charge that they're charging to deliver the sludge to NBC. So.
That's one here that's down from 75 to 200.
They were 165 and then they went estimated to, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It went from, we were at 48,000, went up to 160.
Even if you estimate the 200, which will probably increase in 10 years, your a pump station costs.
Right.
That's kind of the game plan.
We're looking at putting a pump station in over by the monastery on Tunsit.
Yeah.
That'll take about 85% of the flow that goes to NBC. Woodruff Road will still go to it. Carrier subdivision down below Joey, Timberbrook. And that area, not yet in Wood Pond, that area was
And all the Wood Pond, yeah.
Wood Pond isn't sewered going up the hill over to Tunsis. That's all still septic. But if you come down Ridgeview, Timberbrook comes into Ridgeview down to Wood Pond and back to West Hartford on that short leg.
Yeah.
Those couple houses there are sewered. So that would be the only area that would still remain going to NBC.
So what we're paying them though for a portion of the town to deal with stuff that's not coming here.
It's not coming here, correct?
Correct.
So the pump station is already here.
It would go to Patrick Flood to the 12-inch through a force main and then we pump it here. So basically we put it back into our system. With room for expansion.
And if we're going to, for a $2 million pump station, it's a 10-year payback.
Right, and the MDC doesn't have any minimums on us.
None.
No,
There's no reason not to do it. And I don't see us getting any cheaper. As you can see, just in the cost, it's going up exponentially. It's not going up a couple dollars. They're killing us. So that's where we kept looking, and as a way to save money, we're gonna be paying ourselves to treat our own waste anyway. So that's what we bumped that up a little to help bank some money to get that going. We're in a design phase right now with UPC.
You got a space for it there?
We do.
Yep.
Yeah, how much land, yeah, or what size?
Within the right of way, it'll be a pump station similar to, what do you think? Patrick Flood?
I was gonna say maybe it's a little smaller than Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be a submersible,
Mhm.
won't be a suction lift.
It's not gonna have as many issues as Patrick Flood.
No, I don't wanna jinx this. As long as it's not suction lift, I'm good, so.
We'll do some submersible station. And just divert all that flow back to us. They are very.
But that's gonna come up and it's gonna go into Patrick Flood.
So it's gonna come down the middle, take a left on Munson Road,
Yeah,
cause we wanna go into, DPC wants to go into a 12-inch. The only one is on Munson, which actually works better, cause you can hang that left. And then gravity right into Patrick. It's what, like 5,200 feet of force main though, so.
I highly recommend you do it. It's in our own interest to say, to put that money there, to pay ourselves to treat our own wastewater instead of being at the mercy of them.
And then Jim had asked about total costs but I told him DPC is working on it. And then West Farms, we have the plans, but they're looking at costs now, but I would guess 2 as well.
Yeah.
Give or take.
That'll be somewhere near putting the.
Orchard.
Or by Fairview and Orchard. Yeah, right by the playscape there.
Playscape,
Playscape, that gets one or two people a year.
Yeah.
In that corner.
all the people on
Up
Orchard.
until you decide you wanna do a project.
Yeah.
It's gonna be packed 30 people then, yeah.
We're not taking the jungle gym away.
No.
But it'll go in that corner and sit in there, and that'll greatly reduce our pump size at West Farm Farm.
That's it.
So like our pumps at West Farms, they're 90 horse, they pump. Well, right now they pump 275 a minute. These are 90 horse pumps, they pump 6 million a day at the plant. So West Farms it's all head. So
It's all-
we gotta reduce it.
Yeah,
All of
Yeah.
it all.
it's got nowhere to go but up, yeah, we don't go that one. So those are the two big functions that we're working on right now, to focus on, get us to a point where we're trying to be very independent from anybody, not have to be like the NBC.
So tell us what happens to Avon and Burlington.
Avon Burlington stays the same. I have to call it, I've been having a little discussion with our attorney about how if we can legally charge them a different rate. Like NBC just sends us a bill and that's the end of it.
Fantastic.
Exactly, I want to start making, if we can increase that rate for out of town users, start doing that.
Is there?
The NYC rate,
Exactly.
apparently that's a fair rate.
Right. There's often justifiable stuff, but it's a little, we've operated a little different than NBC. Did you read the newspaper lately?
For years, I've read the newspaper.
They got the new chairman.
Yes,
They say.
yeah, so that's gonna be interesting to follow, so. Yes, so,
Is there any recourse to changing that rate?
with NBC?
Yeah.
No. Because they operate as a municipality.
Yeah.
And they're gonna approve any number that they want to approve. I can question it. And
They'll argue costs for
Yes.
whatever.
there's gonna be anything, and if anything, one of those things, you question it, it's gonna come back higher.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, gentlemen, I've been dealing with these guys for a lot of years. It's very difficult at best, so,
Yeah, we're a minority town.
yes, yeah. The one interesting thing I will have to tell you guys that I found out over the years is that they charge their full number of towns based upon their tax collection. So that you get, if you collect more taxes, you get penalized more. That's how they base their rates, based on tax collection. I couldn't believe it. So it's a pretty interesting concept. But you think about their full number of towns, who's paying what, who's collecting the tax. That's sure that he's paying the bills.
That's why what's Arthur was that happy.
So if you go to the expenditure, the rate increase, projected rates. So we're up about $500,000 with the increase with the capital and hauling and electricity. So we're looking at a 10% cost increase, rate increase. Which will bring us up to, in essence, $370, which is about a $35 increase per year for a residential user. I've looked at, called the NBC, had a conversation at DEP, excuse me, the Floridian Slip, I believe. And we are still at 370, probably the lowest, top 3 lowest in the state.
Yeah.
For users. It is, we do a very good job with our rates for our residential, for our commercial users. And the one good thing is people still come, business comes, we have very good increase, commercial. We're not losing a lot of businesses, we're not gaining, we're not losing one, we're not gaining 5, but we're not losing many comparatively to other towns. There's the whole development comes into play. Not only with the sanitaries, but with our building inspection, our building inspection teams, everything plays a part in getting people to come, build things here. It's, we're not the most expensive, but we're middle of the road, and you do a great job with getting people through the development process. And that's one thing I'm pretty proud of, is that we've changed that over the years, and we've worked hard at it. That we've become a one-stop shop. We have planning and zoning, fire marshal, building and engineering right there in our office in development county. And everything is very smooth and it's consistent. I can't help lawsuits and things like that from the external side, but our process is very streamlined. It's all kind of comes into play when you're looking at the town as a whole.
Just a quick question. What are the grade out columns thing?
So when you look at the bottoms here for 5.6 million or the 5.4, if you were going to do your percent increase, and
Okay,
it's showing you what the cost would be for resident, commercial, and then what the total budget cost would be for that percent increase,
okay,
if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. So for like, for example, for second column, 2023, 2024.
Yep.
The commercial cost per CF 291.
Mhm.
It would, the next column over go down to 289.
If that was only a 4% at that
Right.
year.
We did a 4% increase from the current rate.
Okay,
And that number, I didn't correct that one.
But basically, like if you went off of your current, you did a 4% or a 5% or an 8%, obviously your residential and your commercial costs increase for each. And then it's showing you where you would be.
So Mark tried to get hold of Joe today to get some numbers here, because
Joe Cavallero,
Swecky,
Joe Swecky.
just for the total numbers, those.
For the reserve account, right, we have $3.1 million in the reserve. Which is it's the percentage that the town functions at. It's same as with the overall budget for the town. It's around the 8%. And Joe felt strong about, it's a good number. And the one good thing is the money that we don't spend during the year, we've always, even though our budget is 5.6 million, we're usually about 5% under that to our expenditures. Because we do a good job, and these are estimated numbers based on our best guess that we have and with all the information we have today. So we take in more than we have to send in budget. So we always run a little conservative on what we're going to take in, and we do take in more than what we plan.
yeah, I'm not sure if this is the time to maybe use some of the excess money that we've been banking here to offset that kind of an increase. An 8% increase is a big increase.
But overall, it is,
Yeah, but it keeps compounding, the more we increase this, it sort of perpetuates. So I couldn't, support an 8% increase.
that's fine. What you guys are here for.
Now, I think we do need to see a little bit more of a plan in writing here as far as our projects and the timeframes when they would kick off.
And we go online, yeah.
Yeah.
When they go on. Yeah, when that we would like to start kickoff date. As Jim said, for Fairview Orchard, the playscape.
Yep.
And then the new one on Middle. Yeah.
DPC is working on those now, so as soon as they get them done, we can have
Okay,
the cost and a schedule.
and then the time frame for what it takes to get them.
Yep.
You know, something.
Dave Brickett. Engineering, they're Long Meadow, right? East Long Meadow. They're the engineer we use for the stations.
We've been using them for a lot of our infiltration info studies and helping us out with flow metering in Burlington.
Yep.
And they're relatively on the lower end cost wise. Because we're a very small firm, so it's out while we're very receptive. You call and they answer. So very good for us.
So we do have we talked about the Patrick Flood forcing. what projects are we gonna anticipate going out for referendum versus trying to finance it from our user fees?
Trying not to do any referendum.
Yes, I think if, Mark said that those projects, the Yukon and the other one were about somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 million.
Yeah, it's about a little over 2 weeks, so let's call it 5 million.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a lot.
But we wouldn't be doing that at the same time, that was not,
Mhm.
we'd be wanting to do enough.
Where's the referendum?
Well, in other words, the public has an opportunity to either approve something or reject it. I mean, it's. What we're trying to do is a backdoor way to finance these things, which in reality is not the correct method.
Would the financing still come from sewage fees or would it have a different
Yeah.
revenue source?
They have, well,
So the pump station, it depends. If the pump station is large enough to impact the whole town. And I'll disagree with you that it's a backdoor way. By trying to get these stations online, and I'm not gonna,
I don't think those large capital costs really are meant to be financed by the user fees.
I agree and don't agree, like, I don't think it's a backdoor method, though, I think. Part of the problem is listen, this is your guys' bailiwick too, right? We're just telling you what we need to do.
Yeah.
But to help do the best thing, but part of the issue with going out to referendum. Depends on the cost of the project, part of the cost will be borne upon the town, the taxpayers themselves.
Right.
So like the treatment plant, the town paid for that, it wasn't the WPCA fees that paid for it. And I believe the pump station, depending on the cost, it's paid the same way. So if you want to go that route, you can absolutely go that route, put a question on. That question would have to come, in November or May. We don't want to do that.
But I guess, in other words, these are like one-time expenditures. And if we build it into the user fees, and I think it distorts the amount of income and expenses.
Well, is there some kind of threshold that you would?
But I don't have it in front of me, it's part of the whole, our town referendum, ordinance. It's within the ordinance, but if that's how you want to.
Well,
do it, you can do it, I'm fine
Yeah.
with that. It's,
Well,
the only thing with that is it's just gonna take more time,
mhm.
that's the only issue with that, but that's fine.
Well, at the end of the day, you could take it out of your real estate property tax pocket or your sewer use fee. It's the same cost of the project.
Correct. That's the way I was looking at it. This, for me, it just saves a lot of time, some time in going through that whole preparation. and
If that-
presentation.
I guess if that's the correct interpretation, I'm okay with that too, but for whatever reason in the past, we haven't handled it that way. We hadn't talked about it that way.
As far as we did Patterson Park, is we went out to referendum for Stanley Works and Patrick Flood.
Right.
Those are the last two that we did besides Patterson Park, and Patterson Park we paid through cash.
Correct.
That was at 1.9, right?
That's a part, and it's.
Or something, yeah. Let me just mute that.
And that was the last one, right? But let me get more information, I'll have it for February.
Sure.
And we'll have that, we'll bring that up ordinance in. And if that's how you guys want to do it.
Yeah, I don't wanna
For sure.
make more work out of it or make it
No.
but
And I'm not, it's not the work, it's the time.
Mhm.
All I'm saying is the time to go through it and do the presentation to the council. Get the approval, and go through the referendum process itself. Again, I'm not trying to hide anything,
Yeah.
I'm not backdooring
Yeah.
anything. This is, I'm looking at this as an improvement for the plan, right, for us. As a town, as a whole, paying for the user fees. So that's where I was coming from, so I would definitely look into it.
But I guess my point is that. So the one-time expenditures. It's not like an annual, we're not gonna be repeating that. The rate in theory could go down.
Well, it would go down, but it could go down, absolutely. If we were to stop putting that money in for the pump station replacement.
Yes.
technically the rate before that.
Sitting on the paper, some cushion.
We would still have a capital function.
Yeah.
Or the pump
Definitely,
station,
definitely.
for pumps and stuff like that, but
Right,
it wouldn't be at the rate we're at.
but not for new stations.
No,
If NDC thought we were building a pump station to bypass them and take some money out of their pocket, would they reduce the rate to make it worth our while to not build the pump station?
I would like to say yes, but not highly susceptible to.
Is it just one station that's required to do that, or do you?
Only one for MDC, because it would be pumping right into Patrick Flood from there.
Yeah, it's just a mile down the road.
Yeah, we can have more discussion in February.
Yeah, and Mark also said that some of the numbers are conservative, and that part of what you say that at the end of the year, you know, we have extra funds that we can spend.
I mean, we're always pretty conservative in what we do. I mean, some of the plant and the chemical costs, I mean, obviously. There's some play with that as well, but. We can certainly. Come back with questions and see what we want to do.
So as far as town elders here, as far as an 8% increase, I mean, if you mentioned that.
I haven't
everybody-
said anything, I wanted to talk to you guys here first to make sure that. If you, I can't go to them and say, here's what we're doing, if you aren't gonna, none of you are gonna support. it.
No, I just
And
didn't
what the
know,
numbers,
some,
I mean, what are you, I haven't heard any numbers yet, and I don't think,
yeah.
but. This is where we're at, you know, we're independent, but we're not,
Right.
you know, we still gotta be in somewhat of an alignment. So. We gotta figure out what that is as well.
I mean, I look at it too, just to put in perspective, even if you were at 5, if you look at it from where we were a year ago. And you just do the trucking and the electric, you're already at 5%
Right.
without any benefit for the town,
Without any capital.
yeah. Which is unfortunate, but that's the reality of. Some of the costs right now.
And we can reduce the.
Jim's gonna get his CDL license.
He can go to MDC for us.
Start.
Bill, you like driving all those trucks.
We'll buy a tanker and.
That's it.
And save money. But I mean, we can reduce the, you know, take the $250,000 out of the pump station. And we'll be back down to we're still a little over 5. Trunk line is a banking mechanism for the main trunk line from here to Unionville. That's what we're doing to bank money for that. The other one is the plan for replacement, that's just for another banking mechanism, in case we think they get it down.
I guess, I don't know if we can forecast, so in other words, if we approve whatever the percentage increase here. Going forward, I mean, are we gonna be in the same high increase?
I don't think so, it's all variable based, basically, we're flat, except for that 250 jump for the pump station.
Mhm.
Everything is pretty much flat. We're not asking for anything above and beyond. It's the utility that's driving the bus here. It's electricity, water, and
Hauling,
trucking,
that's it,
and the chemicals.
that there's 300K.
Right.
That's it.
That's the unfortunate part of this whole situation. It's that there alone.
Mhm.
And Jim had asked before too about hauling, if we go out to bid, if there's other quotes, and I said unfortunately, the only one we got this time was HI Stone. And 22 and 23, they were 200,000 cheaper than the competitors. So it is what it is, that's the cost,
How often do they haul it out?
5 days a week. So 5 cans, about
5 days a week.
15 to 18 tons a day.
I didn't realize that.
Yep. There might be some weeks we have, 4 dumpsters, like I say a can, like a 30-yard roll off. We might have 4 one week. In the summer, we might have 6. So it averages 4 or 5 a week. about 15, 16 tons a day. And in this state, it's pretty much burn or just go into a landfill in a different state. That's it.
Out of curiosity, Mark, just one last question.
Yep.
Can you put a number to our energy consumption here for a typical operating day?
How much we use per day in terms of dollars?
Power, actually.
I'd have to, I have them on the Eversource, I'd have to look. I actually just went through it the other day, don't remember though.
I'd be curious to know, just to see if there's other things that could be looked at.
Yeah. I know, like I said, we looked before, in these plants, like other than solar, if you did it, there's digesters for gas. The problem is the gas in these places is dirty, so then you're substituting natural gas, and at that point, then you're spending for that. Then you need the scrubbers for it. You have the hydro you can do if you have it drop anywhere in the plant, like if the effluent goes out, you can spin a turbine.
Yeah.
And then there's wind. But, I mean, unless there's other ones, but that's pretty much what we've been pitched. And in my experience, I mean, I wish we had an extra 10 inches on the outfall, because you might be able to do a turbine on that. And that's, I think, is all through the state, but we just don't have that elevation, unfortunately, we're that short.
Yeah, I'm just curious what it looks like and see if there's any other things making sense.
Yeah, no, I can certainly get that.
And for next month, can you get us some data on some other towns' rates? After.
Yes. We're on the lower end for sure.
Yeah.
We get a bunch, we'll make a chart, compare them.
You could, that'd be great, especially the ones that are.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on the proposed budget here for the 20. One. The new unfinished business park.
No,
What's gone, any other business? Hearing none, we hear a motion adjourned. So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.